Well, hello everybody, BugEater64 here. Today we're flying the FlyJ Sim 727, the Pro 200F version 3.31, and we're going to be flying from California to Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. So, with that, this particular aircraft is not an aircraft made for X-Plane12. We actually got this aircraft back, I believe, in 2021. This particular version might even been earlier than that. I'd have to double check, and I'm just too lazy to do that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get inside the cockpit and let's get this flight going. The aircraft, even though not made for X-Plane12, is usable in X-Plane12. But there are some glitches that I've run into personally. Now, if other people are having those glitches, I haven't heard about it. But there is a huge problem with the electrical situation in the aircraft. And we'll talk about that once we get inside and go through our startup procedures. So, with that, I'll see you inside the aircraft. Alright, so here we are in our very old but fun 727 from FlyJ Sims. And let's look here. We've got our options set up. We got our FMS. We're going to use that today. We're going to hook up our GPU cart, the ground power unit, and you can hear it in the background there. So everything else is looking pretty good. And with that, we can go ahead and get started with operations in the aircraft, like setting up our FMS and getting power to the systems and so on. We'll go ahead. This is a FS Airlines flight. So let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, that is we got 156 passengers. Okay, we're going to have to restart that. I've got to adjust and set up our fuel load. So let's go ahead and do that in our weights and balances. So it should be just over 36,000 pounds. There we go. That'll work. And then cargo. That's all looking good. All right, with that, then maintenances, everything looks good there. All right. Okay, so let's look at our checklist. I won't be running through the whole thing, but just to make sure we got some things going here. First of all, we're going to get our FS Airlines flight started. So let's look. Yes, that looks much better. There we go. Alright, so fly that, and we are ready to go with that. Maybe not. It's saying we don't have a flight booked. Okay, well, we'll just have to fix that. I did have a flight booked, but I went back and checked, and so let's try this again. 3 times the charm. At least it's supposed to be. Okay, so finally we get that taken care of. Now let's go ahead and do the more important stuff, like get the aircraft ready to fly. And that shows excuse me. Now the runway we're taking off from is right there on our left. We'll take that taxi down there. Okay. So let's get prepared to leave Victorville in California and head out to Dallas-Fort Worth. So with that, battery's on. Okay, we got power there. Okay, so parking brake is set. Okay, flaps, we're looking at 20. And APR looks normal and proper at 2.13. Click on that and so trim for takeoff would be 5.85. So that's all looking good. Got that ready. I'll be using GPS. Okay, and our bugs are set. V1 127, rotation 127, V2 139. Okay, so clock is set to local time, which is just after 7:30 in the morning. Alright, so let's get this in. Set up the status. Okay, X-Plane 12.07. Alright. Route. Okay, I've already got a flight plan ready. There we go. Victorville. And CJX 700. That's our flight. Alright. And this is a flight plan that we loaded from SimBrief. Takeoff runway 21. There's no transitions or SID. And this calls for runway, I believe, okay, 36 right. UKW 7. And instead of vectors, we're going to use Sloco. Okay. Now it's calling for 36 right, but I may end up landing on runway 13. But we'll see how that all goes at the end of the flight. Flight is just over 1,000 miles. Oh, let's go ahead and get rid of the discontinuity. And I'm going to we're going to get rid of the vectors there. And replace it with Sloco. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think we've got everything in there. So we can activate it. And the flight plan is ready. Okay. Test stall warning. Arm emergency lights there. And put our no smoking and seatbelt signs on. Okay, so the window heat is on, but we're not getting any power to it yet. And we already know that the parking brake is set. Okay, so we got the beacon on, so we kind of show people what we're doing here. So with that, there we go. Helps if you put the ground power all the way on. We were working straight off battery there. Okay, that was my bad. But we now have ground power. Yeah. Okay, we got power to everything here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the APU started. Flip it to on. And then hold it for 3 seconds. See the needle start to move, and we can release. Now it'll take a little bit for that to get up and running, and we can hear it starting. Just about ready. There we go. Okay, so APU is up and running. Everything up here looks about ready to go. Okay, so we can start to get ready to start the engines. Okay, so right engine is started. When it gets to 20%, introduce fuel, and that's one of the glitches. It's almost instantaneous jumping to, and normally it would take a short period of time for it to run up to 20%. But the N2, when you go to start the engines here, it jumps right up there. So anyway, the engine, the right side engine has started. And we can close that. And we'll go ahead and do the left engine. You can start them in any sequence you want, but there goes N2 just jumping up in there, and normally I just wait till it starts to go back down and introduce fuel. And then we'll do the center engine. Okay, so all three engines are running. Get our pitot heat on. Auto brakes are already set to RTO. Let's get some lights on. Now, flat for takeoff, like I said, is going to be 20. So, all right. So we close. This is where it starts getting a little bit tricky. Now, once you start the APU, the external power automatically is turned off. The problem we run into with the electrical system is that right now it won't let me switch to generator 1. If I try, it kills the electrical power. So alrighty, so we got 3 good engines. Flight controls free and clear. Yep. Try and turn on that generator. Won't do it. Yeah. Okay, so should have already done this. Let's turn on all our fuel pump. Alright, so they're all on. Secondary hydraulic system. Okay. So, let's try. Nope, it won't let me open it. Add some throttle. I found that if I raise the RPM, it'll let me engage the electrical. So we'll do that. Okay, so yeah, we'll turn the head tracking on quick so we can see where we're going. Start heading out towards the runway so we can get going. The problem is, once you get going and you've got full electrical power, if the electrical power fails, which it will do, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, it also turns off your hydraulic systems, and when that happens, you got to do try to keep it in the air and then try to fix the problem. I found that on takeoff, for some reason, it'll do it, and our takeoff power today is going to be set at just about 97, just over 97%. The other problem I run into is when if I bring the throttles back, like if I want to slow down on descent, things like that, and I bring the throttles back to less than 60%, I lose electrical and hydraulics. So that can be a problem, especially on landing when you want to try and use reversers, because you lose the hydraulics, you lose brakes, and you have a real hard time slowing the aircraft down. Okay, landing lights coming on. So that's why I say the module, it's an old module. It's one I really like, but in X-Plane12 it's got some glitches, and it can be a real challenge to fly. And you're going to see that today. So we'll see how things go. Now, one thing would be really cool is that multi-crew would be really helpful in this aircraft right now, because you could have a flight engineer actually working on the panel to help take care of that electrical issue. All right. Ready to go. Flaps are set at 20. So let's get the throttles up to 97%. Go. Brakes released. Okay, so see if we can get her in the air. And we just lost all electrical power. Get up, girl. Get up. See, none of my avionics is working. I've still got engine power, gear coming up, positive rate. Keep her in the air and keep it as stable as we possibly can, and work through the problem. But I've lost, you can see the panel, I've lost all avionics. Still showing engine power. Okay. Yeah. Upper panels. So we're working through the problem. Now I have pulled the flaps up, but they're not working because I've lost hydraulics. So let's see if we can get got it stable enough. Let's get electrics on. Okay. Now let's see if we can. There we go. All right. So we got electric power back. Try to reset what we can of the flight plan. Okay, so speed things up here and get going. This flight takes a little over 4 hours, so. spend the first good portion of it trying to refix the flight plan. Okay, so the next thing we're going to see here pretty much is get ready to land. Okay, so coming in, we're going to land on runway 13. I'm holding the engines right at the limit, but as soon as I land, I'm going to have to try to use the reversers, which means I have to pull the throttles back, engage the reversers, and then add the power, of course. So it could be very problematic, because as soon as I pull those throttles to less than 60%, we're going to lose electronics and hydraulics.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Little float. Bingo, there, we just lost the electronics. I'm trying to use the reversers. And, you know, so now I've got to try and taxi with the engines at 60%. Oh, which means I'm going to get penalized. For taxiing too fast. But the flight was okay. Like I said, the aircraft is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. But it's got some glitches that make it really challenging, and that's just, we're not being nice today. We can pull up here and try and stop, shut things down, and call it a day. But we made it to Dallas-Fort Worth. We're just going to park it right here. Okay, park and brake on. Come on. There we go. And so we'll go ahead and start up the APU. So we made it to Dallas Fort Worth, but you can see what kind of issues I've got with the module and with the electrical system. I don't know if there's any fix to it. I am hoping that FlyJ Sims will do an update for X-Plane12, because they make some really fine aircraft, and I'm really happy with the job they do and the modules they build. So we can only hope and for the future and see what happens. So with that, this is Bug Eater 64. I hope you enjoyed the flight. A little different than some of them I've done. And until next time, as always, remember, safe flying.